Jean-Denis Garon is the Bloc Quebecois national revenue critic, and he joins us now. Mr. Garon, good to have you on the program. Your reaction to the, and your party's reaction to the fiscal update?
Well, you know, we're very surprised because we're not even done with the debate on an almost empty speech from the throne, that now we're facing what might well be the shallowest budget update in Canadian history. And it's highly disappointing that to discover that we went on a $600 million electoral campaign to end up with that. That's highly disappointing, actually.
Well, what do you mean, like when you say the shallowest? They just announced a $40 billion deal with Indigenous children. That's a $40 billion spend over the next 6 or 7 or 10 years, $16 billion this year. That's a pretty big number to land in any fiscal update. And they've got $5 billion for British Columbia for the floods there and $71 billion over 7 years. I mean, normally we would call this a significant update.
Well, you know, those measures were necessary, and for these amounts that are dedicated to the Aboriginals, one has to remember that 16 billion of that money is imparted in last year's budget, and those expenditures were required by the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. Now, what we're looking at in particular are the news concerning health transfers, and the message that is sent today by the federal government is that no further help and no further support will be provided to the provinces for their health systems. And you know, like this, well, I'm not even sure I can call that a news, but this news comes only 5 days after the premiers of Quebec and the premiers of the 9 other provinces reiterated their demand for improving the Canada health transfers. And what the federal government says basically is that, well, we've helped up during the pandemics and we took a significant amount of debt on our backs during the pandemics, and now we'll let you alone with your health systems. But the reality is that the fundamentals are there, the needs are there, sick people are still there, and an increase, and a significant increase in Canada health transfer is more needed than it's ever been. And I hardly see how the federal government can initiate at the moment any constructive dialogue with the provinces, given that it's a big no-no in that fiscal update. So it's a huge problem, actually.
Okay, now remember, this is a fiscal update. I know we see it as a mini budget, but, and I want to welcome viewers from across the country who are just joining us now as we are in our special edition of Power Play, as we cover the fiscal update, and we will be joined by the Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland, very soon as she's done. And I'm with Mr. Garon from the Bloc Quebecois. Look, there's $2 billion for therapeutics and treatments for new COVID measures. That falls under the auspices of health. $1.7 billion for rapid tests. There's $70 million for ventilation. There's $4.5 billion allocated for more Omicron response. I mean, and I know the Prime Minister, and I spoke to him yesterday about this, I know that they're promising, it's not in this fiscal budget, 4 or 5% or 5 to 6% increase in the federal health transfer, but we're still in this pandemic. And they, just by my count here, that's closing in on $7 billion of spending on Omicron and health-related issues. I'm just trying to figure out why you call that nothing.
Well, you know, it's a pandemics update, so it's no surprise you have pandemics measures in that, and you have additional spending for those measures that are going to be supported by the federal government. Now, the needs are still in the provinces. The health systems are still managed by the provinces, and the revenues are still in Ottawa. Those are fundamental flaws in the Canadian tax and transfer systems that need to be addressed, and many of those costs that will follow in the next couple months, next couple of years, are going to be borne by the provinces. So it's not for no reason that the provinces are asking for increasing the Canada health transfers. It's because the needs are there. And we, you know, the parliamentary budget officer has presented us the calculations about that in the next couple of years. And it's very clear in that fiscal update, in the next couple of years, the finances of the federal government will be sound. They're going to be able to even reduce their debt to GDP ratio, whereas in the provinces, the story will be very different. So, I mean, the fundamentals are still there. Health systems are managed by the provinces, and they do need the money. And it's not just Quebec that's asking for that. It's all the provinces. That's not a coincidence, actually. It's based on facts, and it's based on needs on the field.
So lots missing from Jean-Denis Garon for the Bloc Quebecois. You're not happy with this. You wanted a big health transfer. Mr. Garon, good to have you on the program. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.